Alright guys, how you doing? It's Rabea, hope you're all well. So this video is going to be fun because I've got a new pedal board. A little while ago, probably last year, my good friend Max Taylor Grant, who some of you probably know,
hello,
works with Neural. He's also an incredible photographer and I've known him for years. He recommended that I should check out Temple Audio because they basically make modular pedal boards where you can build a rig exactly how you need it, and I was planning on getting a new QC pedal board for VOWER and flying gigs because I need something really lightweight that I can travel with rather than carting something heavy through the airports and stuff, because during festival season it gets a little bit much when you've got your guitar, your suitcase, your bag and a heavy pedal board as well. So Temple Audio make everything out of like sheet metal, like lightweight sheet metal, and they have all these little modular bits that you can basically build out the perfect pedal board for what you need. So I went ahead and spoke to Temple Audio and ordered myself a pedal board that allows me to house my QC and a few different pedals, on top of having like modular bits for things like MIDI in and out, you know, like 4-cable method for stereo rigs. So got a bunch of different modules for those, and they sent it over and it's really cool. And today, this video, we're going to be building it. Here's the box of goodies. So I ordered a carry case, and then inside there we've got the actual pedal board itself, and then literally a box of all the modular stuff. So there's all the mounting plates, the different modules. What are these then? These are, I don't know what that is. Basically there's a series of boxes, as you can see, loads of stuff to build out the pedal board exactly how I need it, all made in Canada, which is pretty sick. So I'm going to lug this over to Max's and we're just going to put the whole thing together. I'm going to take my old board with me. Probably going to try and make a B rig as well, just in case, because it's always useful to have two rigs, especially during festival season and flying gigs, because as proven last year when I lost my gear and the airlines lost it, so it might be good to have a backup in case something happens. And particularly this year with festival season, I'm doing a couple of festivals with Frog Leap, straight into festivals with VOWER. So if for some reason some of the gear gets lost, I've got a backup here that I can grab and then use, and so nothing is lost in terms of being able to play the gig at least. But anyway, let's crack on and make a pedal board. Hey! You're such a big dog, but you're great. This is Red. So we are at Max's house. This is his wonderful tech annex where he works from. And not a lot of people know this, but Max is the bass tech for Sleep Token, and most recently Architects as well, and just generally all sorts of stuff. So he's actually building rigs right now. Got a 3D printer for extra bits, a little workbench here, another workbench here, loads of QCs. I mean, if you're a gear nerd, this room is kind of like heaven. Not only that, look at, I mean, it doesn't keep his workspace tidy, which
I'm literally in the middle of working.
I'd be
in the middle of tidying it.
I'd be, yeah, if it was my room, you know, that would be way tidier. But we can't please everybody. And check this out, look at all these. Loads of guitars. I think goes without saying, just trumps every single guitar that you can get. So that's cool. But then also, what we got here, we got a Strambo Pliny, which is lovely. That's his latest acquisition, which is the Guthrie Charvel, which I'm going to have a chop on in a moment because, you know, it's a great guitar. We got a Strani B 8-string, which I would never try and play. His first Music Man, which is a Majesty OG. I don't remember what year that is, but it's old school.
2014.
I recently gave this to Max, which is my baritone from Chapman, because he doesn't have a baritone, so I was like, just have this. And then a very, very cool guitar, I have to say, this Black Machine, which has got nail bombs in it?
Yeah.
Yeah. This thing sounds insane. If I had $6,000, I would go and buy one off Reverb, because that's the only place you can find them now. But that thing is sick. I may borrow it for recording at some point, if that's all right with Max. And then we've got a JP15. It's the same as mine, but a 7-string. That is a quick tour of Max's humble abode, where at least the annex out the back where all the toys are. So this is what I'm going to put on the board. Got the Mood from Chase Bliss, Microcosm, because these two kind of effects, I feel like QC hasn't got those yet, but it will eventually, but they're really useful to have. Got the pedalboard cable kit from Boss, because, you know, just straight up like you can make them as big or as long as you want. So this is the board. The cool thing about these boards are how lightweight it is. I mean, lifting it up with one hand, it really doesn't weigh much. And then you can see all of these holes allow us to like mount stuff wherever we want. And then on the underside, you can do the same sort of thing. It's the way it's designed, so you can undermount stuff where you need. In the corners here, you've got these plates that you take off. It allows you to mount like IEC and all the different mods and stuff to be able to create patch bays and stuff for however you want to rig it up. So yeah, that's the size of the board. It's kind of big, but more than enough space for what I'm trying to do. Max also has one, as you can see. This is kind of a finished version with orange sides, but that's kind of the gist. You also get LED lights, which they included, which I'm very excited about. And then you can see on the side, you can have mods that are mounted, and they're switchable. So depending on what you want on your pedalboard, you can just mount them. So I love the modular idea. I think that's very, very, very cool, and it's something that, you know, pedalboards in general should really be modular. And we're also fixing my Mission Engineering expression pedal because it's kind of broke. So we're fixing that. Well, Max is fixing that because he's a good man.
I try. So decision then. So what are we putting on this board? The QC's going on this.
Yeah, expression pedal.
Expression pedal.
And maybe a couple of external pedals like microcosm.
Cool. Yep.
And the mood.
I can get one of those. They're great. Sweet. So the decision then is, because you what's your rig setup, VOWER? You're doing the 4 cable method.
Yeah, I wanted it so I could do dual amp, 4 cable method if needed, or just effects at return if needed, and MIDI patch bass. I spec'd everything.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think of the signal flow. And you're on what side of the stage? Stage right?
I'm on the right hand side of Josh.
Yes.
Yeah.
Stage right. Okay. Because what I'm thinking is, like for festival looms and stuff, you want your loom to be coming around the outside of the stage. So if you want your power and all your inputs to come in here.
Look at some of these. So this is the Mod 4X. Let's have a gander inside. See what these look like. Oh, look at that. That is cool. So as you can see, 4 jacks in and out, and they just bolt onto the side. That is very tidy. What we got in here? This is the IEC module, in other words, power. Comes with a little screwdriver too. That's very thoughtful. Another 4X, and then we've got the 4X Pro V2, which shows effects loops. So you got loop A and loop B, and you got a little switcher box on the bottom, so you can have input A buffer, output A buffer, input B buffer, output A, auto loop, and it's also powered by 9-volt DC, which is very cool. So we've got one of those, and then we've got the XLR. So this sends to front of house, so very simple, easy. And then this is the USB mod, which is very, very cool. So it basically means when I want to plug into Cortex Control, I can do that with this. Super simple. Love it. So Max has had to go and take a call real quick, so I'm just going to do the main taking apart of stuff. Max is much better at me at sort of working out signal flow and wiring and stuff like that. So all patch-based stuff is going to go on this side, and then all kind of like front of house, MIDI and USB on this side. So one other thing I really like about this whole experience so far, outside of the fact we get these USB strip lights and a remote, which is badass, is we also have a screwdriver which is designed specifically for this job. And that might sound kind of random, but it's kind of useful because it's quite tight spaces on this board. So the way they've done it is it's long enough so you can get in there, and it's got a spinny end so that you can just hold it with one hand and spin like that to get screws in and out, which is very handy. And it also has a magnetic end, which for all those who use tools, the magnetic end to hold the screws on the end is very useful. It's quite easy to lose that kind of thing. So very cool indeed. So we've got a MIDI, XLR, QC effects loops, and patch bay. We've also got USB tucked in here. Those are our effects loops for QC. That's just our patch bay where we can go effects, amp return, in, out 3, out 4. Then we've got our power, and then the other side, the XLR mod, and MIDI. Very sick. So, can't wait to get all these pedals on now. So we're getting there. Max very kindly just gifted me this KNK Shields QC shield. Sky makes custom perspex plexiglass shields for QC to keep it clean. I mean, I never really thought about using it, to be honest, because QC is durable, but it's a nice look, and I guess it's extra protection on the road. And it comes with this magnetized sort of touchscreen cover, which I'll probably take off and never put back on, because I always like to get to my QC, and mid-gig don't want to be ripping that off. So next we'll kind of figure out where these pedals are going to go. I mean, it's kind of doing my OCD in a bit that they have to be sideways. Haven't quite figured that out yet, but we'll figure it out shortly. Because I mean, if they're being controlled by MIDI, then they don't necessarily need to be accessible here as much, but we'll see. We shall see. I don't want to have loads of... I don't want to be tight on the foot space, to be honest. Mid-gig, you know, all that kind of thing. Getting there. So it's the next day. I thought I'd bring the board back to the studio and finish off the final touches, just patching the effects loop into the board. But I just want to say a massive thank you to Max for helping me set this thing up, doing the bulk of the heavy lifting. Really excited about it. So let's just crack on. We're going to make up some cables, do the effects loop section, and then basically the whole thing's set up, and then we'll power it up and see what it looks like with the LEDs and all that cool stuff. One thing I will say is that, you know, if you're traveling, you know, in an aeroplane or whatever, this case isn't going to cut it. This is useful if you're doing local gigs or like just, you know, putting it in your car or whatever. But for me, I've ordered a Pelly case. Let's open her up and check it out, see the handiwork that was done. So it's good to see it the next day. Everything's routed in now, except for the effects loops. So we're going to do that now. So the cool thing about these kits I like is that you can just really make the perfect size. And there are a bunch of companies that have done this before, George L's and Lava Cables and all that stuff, which are all fantastic. Let's get this in there. And now we can screw in the grub screw. All right, I should really test them, but I can't be bothered. This is so fiddly. That to me looks like it works. So to recap what I have done here, I can use the QC with the whole preamp swapping technique. I did a video on that, it's in my description box right now, so you can watch that, but essentially it allows me to take any amplifier that's got an effects loop and swap the preamp of that amplifier with anything inside QC. So for example, my Krakens, I can swap out the preamp so that I can use like an AC30 and then swap back to the Kraken preamp. So I've got the choice of any amp models inside QC alongside the Kraken preamps. Or if I don't want to do that and I just want to run it how I have been for VOWER, I can just run out 3, out 4 into the effects loop returns of any tube amp and essentially run my presets amplified out of a cabinet on stage, which is kind of what I've been doing with VOWER, and it works really well. So it's nice to have the option. All right, let's power it up. Everything's on. No lights yet though, let's test it. Bosh. Whoa. Yeah. Okay, so there's the board build video. I'm gonna get this thing hooked up. Probably do another video where I go through how it all works again, but I mean, I've done videos on the routing capabilities that I use Quad Cortex for with amplifiers. Make sure you check those links in the description box, but I'm very excited to get this thing out on the road with VOWER next week. And I just want to say a huge thanks to Cass at Temple Audio and all the guys there for making awesome products, and I think they're awesome. And so far, this has been a really enjoyable experience. Pedalboard building can be one of those fiddly things that, you know, it takes a long time, and this was a really enjoyable way to do it. I love the modular approach. I love that you can bolt things to it, and it just feels very solid. And the most important thing is it's very lightweight, which is very good for me traveling through airports and stuff over the summer festival season. So yeah, very excited to get this thing working, very excited to use it on the road. And again, thank you to Temple Audio. So anyway, check the links in the description box below, like, subscribe and share. I've been Rabea, and I'll see you all very soon.